You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters, we're going to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Got two pieces of news. One involving the owner sending a very interesting but very direct message towards Mike Tomlin about his playoff performances. And we've got a potential offensive coordinator that may or may not have Steelers Nation pulling their damn hair out right now. And if you're a Falcons fan, you're just grinning. But when you start digging into the numbers, at least from the Titans, it's kind of interesting. And then it raises a scenario of a very interesting free agent veteran quarterback with direct ties and success with said offensive coordinator. Let's get to Art Rooney II here. Sending a clear message that Mike Tomlin needs to perform in the playoffs. Let's do this. Steelers Depot. Many people praise Mike Tomlin's streak of non-losing seasons as head coach of the Steelers. It's an incredible streak of resiliency, tenacity, and steadiness. However, detractors are quick to point out the playoff struggles under Tomlin. After all, the Steelers are 8-10 in the playoffs under Tomlin and on our 5-game losing streak. This is the most remarkable stat in this. Last time they won in the playoffs was 2016. 2016? Wow. Despite losing to the Buffalo Bills in the wildcard round to end the 2023 season, the Steelers continue to stand behind Tomlin. When Steelers team president Art Rooney II met with reporters on Monday to recap the season, he spoke about his unwavering support, but the need to start producing in the playoffs. I find this rather interesting, the way they worded his unwavering support. No, I know he tried to sugarcoat this a little bit after he threw it out there, but this was very direct. Art Rooney on playoff futility, quote, "We've had enough of this. It's time to take the next steps." Yeah, he come back after the fact and said, also, if we didn't believe in Tomlin, Tomlin wouldn't be here and we would make a change. I'm gonna get to that in a second, okay? So we've had enough of this. This is another Steelers.com editor that caught a fuller version of these remarks. Art Rooney on the urgency of the Steelers to win in the playoffs. We've had enough of this. It's time to get some wins. He actually says, time to get some wins. It's time to take these next steps. There's some urgency there for sure. Interesting. That, folks, when owners start talking like that, this is the same way Robert Kraft started talking about Bill Belichick, sending a message. I believe it was not before this prior season in which Bill Belichick just lost his gig, but the season prior to that with the Patriots, that Robert Kraft said, look, we got to make the playoffs and perform in the playoffs. And now here we are. Bill Belichick doesn't have a job. Okay, so that's pretty interesting. And more so, the other interesting thing is the fact that you just haven't had any real success there as far as actually winning games. It's not a good look. And I know he's a lame duck coach. They're looking at doing an extension this offseason, but I figured they're going to extend him for like a year. And then I think next year is going to be very interesting for Mike Tomlin. I could see him jetting, or I could see them pulling because they're going to let this happen the same way the Patriots did. It'll be a mutual parting of the ways. It'll be very friendly. I don't think there'll be a trade because it is just kind of a hot mess to try to trade coaches in the NFL. And also, of course, we know they're looking for an offensive coordinator. And this hire is going to be directly on Mike Tomlin, all right? And I got to tell you, I think he's leaning in this direction because Zach Robinson was getting a lot of fire, and he's off the market now, okay? He's out of there. He's been hired. So you see this, ex-Falcons head coach Arthur Smith for the OC position. Arthur Smith's background as a play caller could land him a new job in 2024. The former Falcons head coach is interviewing with the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday, yesterday, with their vacant offensive coordinator position. NFL Network insider Tom Pelissero reported per his source, the team has announced the completion of the interview. Smith spent the last 3 seasons as head coach in Atlanta, something we followed close here, where he led the Falcons to identical 7-10 finishes from 2021 to 2023, while directing offenses led by the likes of Matt Ryan, Marcus Mariota, Desmond Ridder, and Taylor Heineke. Quarterback was the biggest hang-up for Smith's Falcons, who failed to find stability under center and suffered accordingly. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Smith earned the job in Atlanta because of his work in Tennessee, where he served as offensive coordinator and guided Ryan Tannehill to the AP NFL Comeback Player of the Year honors in 2019. Under Smith, the Titans finished 12th in offense in 2019. And then check this out, guys. Who would have ever thought this? And jumped all the way up to a tie for second place in 2020. They had a tie for the second place offense in all of the NFL in 2020. Question is, are we in a day and time where that offense will still fly? I mean, and I know that's only been for you actually 3 seasons ago and now 4 years. So it's crazy that we may have come that far with the way offensive has changed. Placing him on the radars of clubs seeking new head coaching options. Smith's candidacy in Pittsburgh makes plenty of sense. The veteran coach would provide an ideal leader for a Steelers offense that lacked consistency under former offensive coordinator Matt Canada, and escaped the bog of offensive irrelevance only after the Steelers fired Canada during the 2023 season. Okay, so two reasons this is interesting. Number one, this was earlier this year. Steelers named landing spot for 2-time rushing champion. Now, in case you guys don't know, there was a lot of fire around the idea that Derrick Henry was going to be traded at the trade deadline. All right? The Cowboys came up, the Steelers came up, and obviously this would be reuniting Arthur Smith with Derrick Henry. All right? And Henry had his best success with Arthur Smith. Now, the problem is, you're looking at a guy that's 29 years old, and he may end up being 30 by the time the season starts. Also, we know the Steelers are going to be in the market for a veteran quarterback. And Ryan Tannehill will be a free agent when the new league year starts. He is a free agent. He's done in Tennessee. And this would be an opportunity for Ryan Tannehill to reunite with Arthur Smith. And at least you could say bring in a veteran quarterback behind either Mason. Well, we know Kenny Pickett's going to be there. And Mason Rudolph, maybe. Mason may end up leaving via free agency as well. But that's interesting. And let's be honest here. With T.J. Watt back, we know the Steelers' defense is going to be good. If they could get some more offensive production, that does make things interesting. Now, I will say this. Some people have made the joke about Pickens and Deontay Johnson not being happy if this hire happens. It's possible. Lord knows I hammered Arthur Smith to death. But we've also talked on this channel a lot about the fact that some guys are terrible head coaches and good offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators. Some guys are just OCs and DCs. Josh McDaniels, anybody. Norv Turner. I mean, conducted some of the best offenses in the history of the NFL. Just not very good as a head coach. It happens all the time. Look, I think the Seahawks are about to do it again. Dan Quinn. I mean, I think Dan Quinn's a good defensive coordinator. I would not hire Dan Quinn as a head coach. I don't think I would have hired Raheem Morris as the Falcons coach. Maybe Raheem Morris would have eventually gotten an opportunity. My biggest problem with that hire was that they set the expectations for everybody that it was going to be Bill Belichick. And then you tell me Raheem Morris is coming to town. I'm not going to be nearly as excited all of a sudden. I'm just not. This is interesting. I initially went Arthur Smith, and then I got to thinking about it and was like, A.J. Brown was a beast. I think in that 2020 season with Arthur, it's an interesting scenario. In fact, let me just pull this up as we're talking about George Pickens and Deontay Johnson's careers dying under Arthur Smith. Wrong answer. A.J. Brown had 1,000 yards back-to-back, 52 catches and 70 catches under Arthur Smith. And let me see, I think that first season was his rookie season. So as a rookie, A.J. Brown had 52 catches under Arthur Smith, 8 touchdowns. His second season, 70 for 1075 and 11 touchdowns. So now, your wide receivers, in theory, could still get some real production out of Arthur Smith's offense. Wow, interesting. Tell me what you think, Black and White Sports supporters. Mike Tomlin, Arthur Smith, Ryan Tannehill, Titans Northeast, anybody? Might as well just hire Vrabel in. Fire Mike Tomlin, bring Mike Vrabel in. No, that'll be next season. Peace, I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.